Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to another video in this channel. Today we're gonna continue with the sword, which is our mini project for this week. And as you guys remember, this is where we left off. But before we continue, a couple of announcements. Remember that we have our portfolio review submission link open down here in the comments. So if you want to submit your work for me to review in not this weekend but next weekend, make sure to go down here and check it out. We also just released our newest course. Our newest course is going to be the environment creation for games, and it's a very in-depth course about the creation of assets and different kits for Unreal Engine 5. The promo video is also in our channel, so must be probably over there or something. Just make sure to check it out if that's something that you're interested in. So yeah, let's go. Let's jump back here onto our sword. So on the last session we were working on this guy right here, and if you guys remember, we were doing this sword called a Momentum. Very ominous name. Let me get the concept real quick. Actually, I think I had the concept on the desktop. Yeah, there we go. So this is the concept, and yeah, it's just a matter of keep going with the sculpting. Where I'm gonna show you how to do the runes, and I'm gonna show you a nice little technique for this rocks that we have here. So let me move this to the other screen so that I can see it, and let's grab this. There we go. So let's go with this little piece right here. And the most important thing about this piece is that it has a groove where we have this sort of glowing thing. So I'm gonna click this Dynamics Solo so that we're only focusing on this thing right here. And as you can see, the resolution that we have for the Dynamesh right now, pretty low. So let's increase the resolution. Right click. I would go even higher. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now I'm gonna get rid of polish. I mean, I don't mind polish, but sometimes it gives some weird results. Now this guy, I do want to have symmetry, so I'm gonna press X for my symmetry. Give me just 1 second. I'm missing my little cushion for my arm. Not sure what it is. Okay, so yeah, this is the symmetry X. And as you can see, the problem is that it's not symmetrical for some reason. That's very weird though. I was really sure that we were on the center, but if it's not symmetrical, do not worry. There's ways to fix that. So the first way in which we can fix it is select this option right here, which is called local symmetry, and it should follow the local symmetry of the object. Very important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into transform, and I'm going to turn on not only X symmetry but C symmetry, so that if we do something on this side, it's also happening on the back side. That's going to save us a lot of work. So now, with our clay buildup, I'm just going to mask. I think masking is going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going to mask everything here. This is the central group that we have. And then we have like a diamond-shaped group here on the middle. Like this. And then on the center of that diamond group, we actually have stone. So we're not going to be modifying anything here. I'm pressing Control and Alt to paint away the mask, and that's the general shape. Now there's a couple of ways to do that. We should just literally use our brush to carve into this thing, or we can go here to deformation, and there's this nice inflate option that we can use to bring this in, as you can see there. Now the problem with inflate, as you can see, is it crunches some of the edges. Dynamesh might fix it, but I don't want to have any issues, so I'm going to use just a little bit of inflate, and then with my clay buildup, I'm just going to start pushing this a little bit more. Might use even trim dynamic to really create the effect of carving inside of the object. There we go, Dynamesh, and that's it. That's the shape. So now that we have the shape, I'm going to use trim dynamic again. This is way too much here on the front. Let's push it a little bit in. Here we might use something called the knife brushes. So I'm going to use the knife curve here to just cut this part. Unfortunately, it doesn't have symmetry. Let's use the clip brushes. These are some old brushes from a long time ago, but they do have symmetry. So there we go. A little bit more. There we go. Now we definitely need more geometry. This is way too little geometry. Right now, this object is sitting at only 7,000 polygons, so that's nothing. But the resolution, as you can see, it's not really helping. So I'm going to turn off Dynamesh for this object, and I'm just going to Control D a couple of times. And now we should have enough geometry. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start recarving this area right here so that it really looks like the stone has been taken away. There we go. And now we can break the symmetry and use trim dynamic to start sharpening and adding some like stone effects, like what we did on the bottom side. So maybe like chip one of the corners. I'm gonna use my move brush to resharpen this like element right there. There we go. Let's go to the other side. Maybe again with trim dynamic we can just hit it a little bit over here. And that's one of the reasons I like this concept. It's rocks and stones tend to be very organic. So no one's gonna be like, oh, the crack on that rock looks unrealistic. It's a rock, right? It's not much you can change about it. So as long as it just looks natural and looks interesting, you're gonna be just fine. See that? So those little hits here and there. Remember, we talked about this in the last video. If you haven't seen it or check it out, make sure to go back and review it, especially if you're following along. Which, by the way, again, a shout out to our good friend Rudok's Tavern, who is a Patreon, and he is well, he's not a Patreon. He has a Patreon, and he publishes this items for everyone to use in their D&D campaigns. If you're a D&D player, you want to check it out. I'm personally not subscribed to that Patreon. I already pay too much money every month for D&D stuff, so I can't afford to spend more of my hard-earned money on that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a really good one. He shares some of these free items every now and then on the D&D subreddit. Cool. So now let's just add some detail. We talked about this before as well. We have the alphas and we have the orb brushes, which are specifically designed to create like stone effects, like this one right here, like details. It's gonna give us this nice little detail. It's gonna be really soft. It's a soft detail, but it's gonna look quite nice on our normal map. We might get some like cavities and stuff. And I really like, these are other ones. I have this grunge from, I think it was Jones Road Guard or something like that. But it's like this sort of like grainy stone, like erosion. It looks really cool because it looks like erosion. And it looks quite nice. Of course, that inner area that we have right there, we're eventually going to have the glow. So the nicer you can define it, the easier it's going to be. But you want to keep it magical. You want to keep it interesting. There we go. So 2 sections done. First section, second section. Those look good. Let's do this ones now. Now for this, if you want to save a little bit of time, you can do one and then just duplicate it to the other side. That's also completely valid. But as you can see, they really don't have a lot of things going on for them. So I think for this one, I'm going to be really fast. Let's get rid of polish again. And I'm just going to like bevel a couple of edges. Like modify a little bit here and there. Just to, you know, break it down a little bit. Such a simple shape that we really don't need much. Sometimes less is more. In design, that's it applies quite a bit. The less is more sort of approach. And see, that's it. I'm just going to turn Dynamesh off. Give it a couple of subdivisions. Maybe use again our brushes like this details. Just to give it a little bit of texture. And I'm not going to give it erosion. I'm going to give it a couple of slashes. So we have this orb slash. So we can have some of these slashes. Just be careful. See that? That's a masking problem. So I'm going to go into brush. I'm going to say auto masking and turn back face masking on for this brush. So that way if I do like a super big thing here on the border, it won't affect the back part. It might make the what's the word? The normal map look a little bit weird, but it's fine. There we go. So as I mentioned, let's save a little bit of time. Like we don't need to do this again, so we can just like mirror this to the other side, and that's fine. Or if you want to be like super precise, we can of course just sculpt this. Which again, I don't think we're gonna need that much work over here. Just a couple of Just a couple of hits here and there with the trim dynamic to sharpen some of the edges. Now you might be wondering, isn't this gonna be a nightmare to retopologize with all of this like changes in topology and stuff? Yes, of course. But don't worry, I'm gonna show you a nice little trick for this kind of object. It only works for this kind of objects, not for characters or anything else. But it's a nice little loophole. So let's grab this one again. So a little bit of detail. And I'm not gonna add scratches to that one. That way, this one's a little bit more unique because it has scratches and this one doesn't. But maybe this one, since we're gonna add like specific things, maybe this one has a little bit of the little dots, right? So yeah, there we go. Now finally, the main part, the main body of the sword. Before we do the little stones that are everywhere, I'm gonna work on the sword itself. So again, let's increase the resolution first, and let's see if we can work with this for a second. Trim dynamic, and let's start with the asymmetry. So down here, kind of looks like a tree stump, like carved from different pieces. I can tell we still need a lot more geometry. So let's push all of this. There we go. Dynamesh to recalculate all of that surface. And we have the runes. The runes are going to be tricky. Well, not super tricky, but they have something. Everything else is really smooth. Like, you actually want this to be relatively smooth. So, yes, we are going to add a couple of like, again, like hits and stuff on certain areas to kind of convey that this, like, a hard surface object that has seen some battle. But we want to keep it as nice and flat as possible. Again, to indicate that it's a sharp object, right? That's going to be quite important, I would say. But it does have some sort of like big hits, like some things like that. So see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna carve in with the clay buildup first, like different little again damages, and then with trim dynamic, I'm just gonna go over it, and that's gonna sharpen the outer edges, and it's gonna make it look more like an actual like a strike or something, like something hit that thing. So don't be afraid to do that sort of stuff either. Let's add a little bit of effect here on the back side. There we go. Again, if someone asks in the comments, I can give you guys my custom interface. I really don't have a lot of stuff, and I'll be happy to share with you. Just let me know, and I'll upload it to one of the folders for the next video. There we go. So now I do think I am gonna turn on symmetry. You can see we still have local symmetry turned on, and we should have C symmetry. If we don't, let's go here to transform, turn on C symmetry, and we're gonna start working on the runes. Some runes are very symmetrical, and other runes are asymmetrical. So for instance, right in the middle, it's a very funny rune, which is like 2 arrows. So I'm gonna start working on that one. It's like an arrow like this. And I think it's kind of like a play on the abilities of this sword, because this sword is supposed to be following Newton's laws of motion. So that means that it goes like forward and back. That's kind of funny. Then I'm gonna break the C symmetry, the X symmetry, sorry, because the next set of runes are not like this. So the next rune, we have something like this. Another option is, I think it would be a little bit better. Let's just mask them first. So the next rune goes like this and in. And then on this side, it goes like this, back, and it has like a little leg right here. And then the last rune, which is here on the base, it's a really complex one. Let me see if I can, because I'm seeing the element, but it's upside down. There we go. That's going to be a little bit easier. So I'm just turning the image. So we have like an L shape here. And then we have like a nice line over here. It's kind of like a house Again, we have some leeway because they're supposed to be like magic runes and stuff. So we can play around. That's a nice one there. And then up here, it's like a Y shape. You can mask this thing, and then it has like a little extra flying thing here. And finally, we have a round thing here. And then same round thing across, up, and again a little thing like right about there. As you can see, it's on both sides, so just control click. And now with clay buildup, I'm just gonna go ahead and carve them in. So since the mask is active, we won't be affecting any other area but this piece that we're using right now. And as you can see, it's gonna look quite nice. It looks even a little bit sharper than the arrows. So one thing we can do is we can mask the arrows real quick and just give it a little bit of a pass. That's gonna sharpen it a little bit more. And there we go. That's the runes for the sword. So now let's add a couple of the details here on the sword. So again, I'm gonna go to my brushes. Let's grab this surface. I just want to add a little bit of detail. Now see how it's doing it the same thing on the back side? I don't want that, so again I'm gonna go to brush, and I'm gonna turn on auto masking back face mask. This is per brush, so you're gonna have to do this every single brush. I don't want this to be everywhere. I want to have a little bit of like rock detail in certain areas, especially down here. So for instance, down here I'm gonna increase the intensity, and I don't want it to be like a little bit more like a chiseled rock, right? So as you can see, we get that sort of effect. Maybe a little bit of erosion is gonna look cool. So again, let's go with this one right here. Just a little bit of erosion here and there. We do have symmetry turned on still, so it's affecting both sides. Cool. Now I'm gonna we're gonna work on the little stones, and this is gonna require a little bit more of an advanced concept here inside of Zbrush. But as you can see, these things are very form-fitting, right? Like they're pieces of the object that have chipped away, and we want them to look as if as if there's a hole where they were supposed to be, or where they were before they got like chipped away. So I don't see a lot of this on the other side, but I would imagine that there are some. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my mask lasso right here. Let me move this thing to this other side so that we can see the big ones. And I'm gonna start masking the fragment where they're gonna be like disconnecting from. So there's like a really big one there. There's a small one there. And then there's like another big one there. And another one over here. And a small one over there. And then almost getting to the final port, there's another one. And then another small one, and another small one. And again, following some of the logic behind this, well, I would probably add like one there, maybe a big one there, small one there, big one there, small one there, small one here. So that we have a little bit of something everywhere, right? I'm gonna keep the point sharp. Now, we need to extract these things, and we need to extract them in a way that it removes the piece from the object and keeps the object the same way, right? So I'm gonna go to geometry, or sorry, to subtool, and I'm gonna say split masked points. And what this will do, as you can see, it carved out of the sword, and it removed those mask points. Now, if I do Dynamesh here, it will recover that piece, which is what we want. We're recovering like the missing elements of the sword. The only thing is some of them might have like this super soft effect, so just be careful on those ones. And we're probably gonna have to, let's turn on symmetry again. We're probably gonna have to recarve a little bit of the elements so they look a little bit nicer. This sharp areas, for instance, you also don't want. Remember, those pointy areas tend to cause problems later on for retopology. So if you see like a really pointy area, you probably want to bevel it a little bit with trim dynamic. It's going to make our lives so much easier later on. So again, see that like shape right there? That doesn't look too like rocky. So we just start removing all of these elements. There we go. That looks quite fine. Again, just a little bit of detail. Eventually, those are going to be painted blue as well with the emissive, because now down here we have the stones. Ta-da! This piece is right here, right? So these ones we're also going to dynamesh. But let's dynamic solo them. We definitely need to increase the dynamesh quite a bit. And as you can see, we have a problem. Like it's trying to dynamesh this thing, but it's not doing it properly. Let me see, what can we do? I think we can go for that low resolution dynamesh. And then with our inflate brush, let's try and just like recreate the shapes. So inflate is really good because it starts like collapsing the little triangles, as you can see there, and creating like more volume. Let's see if that allows us to recover the stones. Dynamesh. Okay, it's a little bit better. Let's give it another inflate pass. This is one of the issues with dynamesh when we're working with super low geometry. Okay, that seems to be working a little bit better. I just want to create like nuggets, right? Dynamesh. There we go. That seems to be cleaning them up quite a bit. So now that we have this sort of like nuggets, with our move brush, I'm gonna start like moving them up. Like some of them we can even eliminate, like that one I think we can get away with. Here, I'm just gonna start giving them the sort of like stony effect. So changing the form a little bit. Same deal, like let's just clean some of that. Like if you smooth something out, it's gonna pretty much be smoothed out of existence. They're kind of flat on the back side right there. Okay, now I'm gonna remove Dynamesh and I'm gonna give them a lot of subdivision levels. Well, not a lot, but quite a bit. And we need to sharpen them up because as you can see, they look quite soft, right? So again, with Trim Dynamic, we wanna start creating this sort of like stone effect on the whole pieces. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, it's just a matter of using our Trim Dynamic to give them a little bit more of a stone shape, right? Because they were looking way too soft. Like you can see, they just look like blobs of clay. And it's important that we kind of like recover this sort of jaggedy rock effect. So that it really looks like it's been chipped away and taken away from the main shape. I'm just gonna hide that little area right there. It's not gonna be baked or anything in an area, so we can just hide it. And again, as I mentioned, they are a little bit flat on the concept, so I'm gonna try to keep them like flat. Let's go here. And we can leave those little chips here and there as well, because we wouldn't expect this sword to be perfectly like damaged, right? Like it's obvious that in certain areas there's gonna be more loss of material than in other areas. Like I'm gonna push that in. There we go. Sorry if I'm not talking that much. There comes a point where you kind of get into the zone and you get like really focused on the asset. Now, also remember, I'm kind of rushing this thing to make it as entertaining as possible, of course. But this asset probably would take a full day of work, like 8 hours, to make sure you get it perfectly right. So take your time. Of course, with experience and with practice, time will be less and less, and you're gonna be a lot faster. But yeah, just take your time. You don't wanna rush things. Usually in projects, the art leads and the producers and everyone, they're aware of how long certain things take. So you can just take the time that you need to finish specific assets. It's just this one over here. Just a couple of touches here and there. I'm trying to avoid doing this, which is using the Demina standard to like separate a couple of pieces. But if you're gonna do it, make sure you make it like sharp enough so that it doesn't look like the pieces are connected, or at least not connected as much, because that could make them look a little bit weird. I mean, the bake could save it, but yeah, don't count on that. It's always important that we make sure things look as nice as possible without like having a lot of tricks. And there we go. That's that's pretty much it. As you can see, the sculpting for our sword is ready. This is how it's gonna look in the game with all of those crevices and stuff. We're of course gonna be doing the texture next. But yeah, as you can see, that looks quite nice, I would say. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Okay, we still have a little bit of time left, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I could do the decimation part real quick. No, I think that's going to be better for the next video. So I'm going to stop it right here, guys. This is going to be part 2 of the sculpting process. Next part, we're going to talk about decimating, UVing, and texturing this thing. And after that, we're going to rig it and bring it into Unreal Engine 5 to have handed it to our character so that he can walk around with it. If I can get an attack animation, I'll probably add it so that you can see how this like swing will look. But I need to find out if there's any like free ones in the marketplace to save a little bit of time. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave a like, comment, share this video. Make sure a lot of people see this if this is something that you think is interesting. And that's it for me. I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye bye, guys.